We are live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to WIIL2B podcast with your host.
It's me, Yvess. Hello. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on What Is It Like to Be podcast. This evening, I am going to be speaking with Yves Deshommes, and he is a Haitian immigrant who came to America when he was 17. He's a polyglot, which is a multilingual person. He's a classical violinist, and he is a New York City doorman. He is a artist connoisseur. He's a collector, and he's an art dealer. And I'm just so excited to have him here, and I'm so excited to talk with him. This podcast is about getting to know ordinary people who are doing extraordinary things and their will and desire to do those things. So I hope to unpack that with him this evening, and I'm so excited that you've joined us. Yves, welcome.
Thank you, Yvess. Thank you very much. It's so wonderful to be part of the show. Thank you. It's good to be welcome.
So I'd like to first ask you, what was it like to come to the United States as an immigrant, and what your story is?
Very simple. The fact that as a teenager, New York City is the greatest city in the world. Watching all these major commercials, watching Times Square and all the area of New York. So everybody want to stop by and see how life is like to be in New York, especially in America. So I came on a student visa and I decided to stay because most of my friends were here, and that was a new discovery. It was a new experience, and to this day I have no regret, but it was a hell of an experience.
So I read that you came on a student visa and then you were undocumented for a period of time.
Of course, once the visa expired, and therefore you become undocumented, it's automatic.
And how was that for you? We see a lot in the news right now with the, undocumented citizens and the children being, locked up and separated from their parents. And I know that in my last interview, Rita Martinez, his parents were undocumented, and it was a different time when he came, his parents came over 50 years ago. So how was it for you being undocumented?
It was quite different. I mean, it was very peaceful. It was under a different administration. If I'm not mistaken, we were pretty much under George Bush, the father. We talk about the 80s, mid 80s. So life was definitely different. It was a kinder, gentler nation. None of the above that we see on television, the way they are treating immigrants in a very abusive manner. This is not the America that I used to know. To elaborate a little on the subject matter, I mean, you could be undocumented, but you are treated with dignity and respect, and of course with love. The system was not harsh against undocumented immigrants. My time was a smooth time. I had the privilege to be able to go to school. There was no such thing as ICE breaking down doors. So it was just a different period of time. I mean, it's so unfortunately we're living in a time where just like being an immigrant, it's almost synonymous to be a criminal. But during my time when I was a teenager, being in New York, undocumented, I was capable to go to school, capable to work. So it was a different lifestyle, and I was very happy.
I can imagine. I lived, abroad when I was in my 20s in Europe, and I think it's similar at that time. I was technically undocumented, and I was able to work, and I was able to move about. And I think even in Europe, things have changed in terms of being undocumented. It's a whole different ballgame. You're not as welcome, and treated as a contributor to society. So I'm glad that your experience wasn't the way what it is today. And I understand that you are very involved in the Haitian community. And I'm wondering how that has affected some of the people who are wanting to come here now.
Well, the immigration issue now has become a major issue. From the last administration, that makes things extremely harsh and difficult, to the new administration right now, who's trying to do the best that they can. As far as our community, the Haitian community, of course, people still want to be able to find their green card, being able to go to school, be able to work, be able to file for their loved ones back home to reunite with their family. I mean, this is technically the land of opportunity, and people always see America as, the place where all dream can come true. So the immigration issue, it's not an issue that can be controlled nor solved overnight. If
Yeah.
America really want to change this policy, they have to change it around the world, make other places better places as far as jobs, you know, workforce, as far as education. There's a lot of things that would have to be put in place in those areas so people don't have to come here. Because when you come here, you come for a major surprise. What technically we've seen on television, what we see on commercials, the land that is paved in gold, it's really none of the above. It's none of the above. You come to this country, you really have to work your heart out. You really have to work and do the best you can to maintain, in order to have a roof over your head, clothes on your back, and food on the table. It's not as it used to be. People telling you America is the greatest country in the world. No, it's not that easy. You really have to put the effort as an immigrant. So this is the way I look at it.
So your effort is that you were in high school when you came and you
Yeah, I
spoke
was in high
no
school.
English,
None
no
whatsoever.
English.
None whatsoever. None
Yeah.
whatsoever. So I was technically learning English and every subject matter in itself, because each subject in itself has its own vocabularies, its own context. So therefore, learning English was one subject. Learning the subject matter in itself, like science, math, history, biology, was just a different terminology. It's just like it was a major challenge, but honestly, it was fun. Learning is fun to me, so it was fun. It was really fun to be able to do all these things as far as fulfilling that dream. This is the American dream. You come to this country, you are able to go to school, you're able to work if you are willing. So I think I did that, and I'm very proud and I'm very humbled about the experience, and I still see it as a great opportunity.
Do you think that you have some just very high intelligence, or do you think it was just hard work?
Well, okay, let me put it this way. Let me give you a perfect scenario. There are two composers. We have
Okay.
Mozart, we have Beethoven. They're pretty much from the same group, the same period, the classical period. Mozart used to write music just like dictation, like it just popped in his head and then just put it on paper. Beethoven would have to write something, erase it, write it all over again, erase it, write it all over again, and erase it until he comes to a completion, until it comes to a masterpiece. I believe everyone has a way of getting through life. I mean, in my term, I think I was Beethoven. I really had to work hard. I really had to work hard to make things happen. It's just like, I remember as a teenager, I used to work full time. When I'm in full time, 40 hours plus overtime. While I'm in high school, going to the high school full time. While in high school and full time, I'm going to night school certain nights, and I'm still going to day school certain days, every day. And summer comes, I would go to summer school. So it's just like I'm always around in school, I'm always at work because I have to take care of myself. So it's never easy. But the bottom line is, if you're willing to make it happen, you have to work hard. And I did work hard. I'm still working hard. I wouldn't say unfortunately, but I'm still working hard. So therefore, that's what life is all about in this country.
Yeah, working hard. I just
Working
want to
hard.
stop for a second and let people know that the comments are open. Please feel free to ask questions. Just type it into the comments. And also like and subscribe, follow the YouTube channel so that you can get updates for the continuing episodes of What Is It Like to Be? We're talking with Yves Deshommes. Can you pronounce your last name properly for me?
You just did. You
I
did
did?
very well.
Okay.
Yes. Yves Deshommes. That's right.
Yves Deshommes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's perfect. That's
I told
perfect.
you when I first had a little conversation with you, I told you that my mother is fluent in French,
That's
and
wonderful.
she taught us French when we were younger, my sister and I, and we had French, actually Haitian speaking babysitters when we were younger. And so I think that when you start young at learning another language, it sort of stays in your brain, and it makes
It
it
does.
easier for you to pick up language.
It
So I
does.
think in some ways you were quite lucky that you came at 17
Yes.
to be able to, pick up on the language. But you did show like that you had a very strong work ethic. So you were able to pick up on, just that work ethic helped you to pick up on the language. But I do want to point out that you now speak 4 languages, and that takes a lot more effort. You're fluent in English, Creole, French, and Spanish.
Correct. Yes. Yes.
And,
And
go ahead.
yes, hello.
Yes, your mic is on.
Yes, it all comes with hard work, as you know. In high school, I picked up on Spanish. Um, French technically was my background since Haiti, and even when I came to New York, I still study French at the French Institute, the Alliance Française. A mentor of mine by the name of Ricole Saint Jean sponsored me by making me a member. So therefore, I continued to study, I continued to read, and I grew up pretty much in a Haitian community where technically everything were French. So I grew up in that environment where everything, you know, in that aspect where French Creole, and that keeps the French background alive. And as far as Spanish concerned,
Your
just
mic is,
like
there you go.
yes, Spanish is a beautiful language, and we have pretty much Dominican Republic next to us as
Yes.
one pretty much one island. So there are a lot of things that we share, we have in common, and the whole world is in New York. It's like Spanish speaking is a very upbeat. You know, you find people from all over Central America, South America who speak Spanish, and it's quite interesting to be able to communicate. And I've always loved languages since childhood, and I think, it's something that enlighten you when you are able to understand and be able to communicate with other people in their own native language. And I think it's really interesting.
Do you think also, though, picking up on languages, it's a part of overcoming fear? Because a lot of times when people are learning another language, they have fear of speaking the language. And I think just looking at your life, you came as a young man here, overcoming fear of coming to a whole nother country. And do you think that you have sort of just a gift for not being afraid? And
Well,
that's what makes it easier for you?
well, here's the way I look at it. Knowledge is power. The more you know, the better off you are. If you come to a place, you're able to speak French and be able to speak English, that's a plus. If you're able to speak Creole, you're able to speak French, you're able to speak English, that's another plus. If you are able to speak Creole, to speak French, to speak Spanish, to speak English, that's an extra plus. So I feel that it's always advantageous. I study piano with some Russian teachers, and technically I know the nicest words to say. I don't learn the curses, but I learn the finest words to say. All the greetings, I have friends who are from Japan, and normally I would learn the very basic as far as saying hello, good morning, how you doing in Japanese. So to me, language in itself is just like a challenge. But the greatest language, the universal language of all time, has always been music. You open up a sheet of music in front of zillion people. As long as they read music, they'll be able to speak that language. It's a silent language, but it's a major language. So therefore, to me, language is a challenge in itself, and it's really fun to be able to communicate, and that's what it's all about.
So I just wanted to stop and say that Charlene says that this is amazing. She's enjoying the
Thank
podcast.
you.
So
Thank you.
speaking of music, you are a classical violinist.
Correct.
And I'd like you to kind of elaborate on how you got into playing the violin.
I met my violin teacher, David Burnett, at Pizza Hut. I was working as a manager, and I took my first violin lesson on January 22nd, 1993. 1990, my first violin lessons, January 22nd, 1990. And to this day, I'm still playing the violin. It's a love affair that could never stop. And every time I open up that violin case, it still feels like January 22nd, 1990. It's something that I cannot express to anyone. I don't expect anyone to understand it, but it's like a dream come true. This is one thing I've always wanted since childhood, to be able to play an instrument. So when I met David Burnett, it was like a new horizon, it's just like a new discovery. I love David to a degree where I named my first son David as well. Because I always tell him, I said, David, the day I have a son, I will name him after you. And he was thinking that I was kidding, but I was very serious. He was not just a music teacher, but he was also a mentor, someone who taught me so many things in life, the finest things in life, such as how to read. So the lessons were, it was not just violin lesson, but how to read, how to go out, how to go to concerts, how to go ice skating, how to go record huntings, how to do an essay, just like how to analyze a lot of things. And he was in my life and he played a major role. So therefore, violin was just another supplementary. So that's how I came about playing the violin, and I never stopped ever since. And I teach children mostly, and I play in orchestras. I freelance all over the world. I study in Scandinavia. I mean, it's just like perhaps sometimes I feel that my story may sound like some sort of a fairy tale or a make-up stories, but I can always back up everything that I say. I can prove it to anyone who wants to double check. So I went to Finland. I studied for 12 days in music camp all the way in Scandinavia. So it's just like I feel very privileged and blessed at the same time to be able to have music in my life and be able not only to follow up with my passion, but also to continue the dream and all the things that I have learned from David. Because David was technically behind me. To this day, we still keep in touch. To this day, I still study with him. To this day, I'm playing one of his violin because my violin had some technical issues that needed repaired. So he had to come to my rescue to bring me another violin. That's the violin he used to use when he was in college. So this man is always in my life. So that's what music does. It's a connection. It's a lifetime commitment.
Why didn't you choose to go into classical violin as a profession?
Well, I'll be very sincere with you. David was a very realistic man. He always tell me, listen, he said, it's very challenging to be a professional. He said, I would not discourage you, but I want you to know what you are in for. And New York, especially, is one of the most challenging city in the world. Everybody comes to New York to study. Everybody comes to New York to freelance. And everyone that comes to New York happen to be the finest in their craft. So since I started playing the violin at a very late age, so he thought that it would be best if I major in anything else but not music. And I totally agree. Although by trade, I'm an engineer in thermodynamics, air conditioning, and refrigeration, but music is a daily bread for me. I practice every morning.
Wow.
Yeah, I practice every morning. I don't practice engineering every morning.
Right.
So it's fascinating how
Yeah.
sometimes people pick a major and then you don't pretty much use the major. It's like people who study calculus in college and take so many courses in biology, never turn out to become neither a doctor or a nurse or a professor in the line. So, but I'm very happy with music. I
Yeah.
practice every day. This morning I was playing Bach in B minor. So
Oh,
it gives me
wow.
so much pleasure, starting my day, so full of joy, able to take all the abuse, all the beatings from the people that comes to the building. Hey, what's the big deal? So it's not what you do, it's what makes you happy. And music make
Yes.
me happy. And I'm pretty sure some other people it's really soccer. Some people it's football. Some people it's tennis. Some people it's basketball. Just like, and some people it's the piano. Some people it's the flute. Some people it's the drum. It's what's make you happy. At the end of the day, you want to be happy. And music make me happy.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
I think it really touches on what one of the questions that I have for you is like, how are you able to do all of these things that you're doing? And I think it probably leads back to the fact that it makes you happy.
Passion. Passion. And first and foremost, I'm going to say something here. Hopefully, my mother would not understand because my mother does not speak English. When I was a boy, my mother used to call me lazy. Yeah, she said, you're lazy, just like your dad, you're lazy. So to me, the challenge in life was always to prove to myself that I'm not lazy. So it's just like I do multitasking. Um, the way I do it in a very positive way. Like for instance, music. First thing in the morning when I wake up, I go to work. I pick up the violin because no one is around, and then anything else that I so choose to do during the course of the day, I pick the right time, the right moment to do it. It's all in passion. If you have passion, you will do so much. There is so much time to do so many things. I wouldn't say at once, but there's so much time. We have so much time. We can always use it the right way. So that's the way I look at it.
So Chris S asks you, why do you think David was drawn to you and wanted to teach you so much?
No, I was desperate. That's different. I was desperate. There is a difference between being desperate and drawn to me. David loved me naturally as a teacher. I happened to be his first student, but I didn't carry the banner of being just a first student. I carried the banner of being a first student by working hard, studying hard. And be honest with you, at the time I go take lessons, I don't even know what I'm doing. Remember, I didn't start when I was 5 or 6. And that's something that Lydia enjoy about the fact that I started playing the violin at a later age, and I excel. David seeing me a young man that is desperate for something that he wants, and he was there. He just opened up the door, and he showed me the way, like the prophet said in the Bible. This is the way, walketh. So I
Yeah.
walked the walk. So it's just like I challenged myself, I challenged David, and it happened. David is an amazing person, but I proved to him that it was not a waste when he accepted me as a student. So
Right.
that's the idea here.
And Charlene says your energy of no limits to opportunities to whatever you desire is incredible.
I'll tell you what happened. When you grow up in a country like Haiti, where opportunity is so limited, to come to a country like New York, to come in America, to be able to study, to find the finest universities, the finest libraries, books in abundance. Listen, you cannot do any other way but to excel. This is the way I look at it. And I'm not the only one. I may be the only person who happen to be so fortunate to meet a person like Lydia to portray me on the film, but there are a lot of other people out there who do not waste time when it comes to opportunities. They just take it. And this is exactly the way it is. And especially if you happen to be an immigrant, you want to study. You come to this country, you want to study, you want to make a better life for yourself. I remember being undocumented, I did fake papers. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, I did fake papers. I worked my way out, find someone to give me a fake stamp from the immigration, pretending that I'm a local resident of New York, just to be able to go to Queen's College. And guess what?
Wow.
I went through and they caught me. But even when I'm being caught in something so illegal, but tell me, how many people have you met someone who did something wrong to go to school?
Right.
trying
Not
to, you
trying
know,
to get better.
trying to get better, trying to get an education. So it's a rarity. I take pride sharing this. It just to show you how desperate I was. Graduating from high school, wanted to attend college. At that time, I would do anything. And this is one of the things that I have done. And I have no shame. I take pride in doing it. And if I have to tell it over and over, I will. The thing is in life, if you want to succeed, do it the right way. Work hard and make it happen. This is the way I look at it. That's my energy.
So I have a couple of other questions for
Hmm.
you. Lerma Rackley asks, are you able to pass this ethic on to young people in your family?
It's hard. I'll be very sincere. I'm not going to fake it. I have two beautiful sons, two beautiful sons, David and Zachary. They started playing the piano. They pretty much gave up. My
Mm.
daughter, Sagayi, is still playing the violin, and I'm very happy and I feel blessed. At time, no matter how hard you try, you cannot really pass on certain genetic traits that you have to your children. You can always be a role model. You can always be there for them, show them exactly what you are capable of. And I always tell them, Charles Barkley always say, I am not your role model. And I can see where Charles Barkley, a great basketball player from the Sixers at the end of his career, used to say that. He said, I'm not your role model. Your mom, your dad are the true role model because you the one, they are the one wake up in the morning, go to work to take care of you. I love my children. I would love them to see them excel in so many aspects. But they have their own life, they have their own path. And they didn't grow up in Haiti as poor as I am, so they don't know how it's like. They have an easy life. It's
Yeah.
an easy, it's very cushioned. Therefore it's not the same experience. You know, to me, everything in Haiti is all about challenge. You play in a team, I used to play basketball. I want to be the first five. In high school in New York, I play high school. I want to be the first five. So it's all about challenge. You just want to be. But for some reason, the new generation, nobody wants to take the challenge. No one. I used to teach a lot of children. Now they are in their 30s. I'm 53. None of them take the challenge. And I said, any regrets? They say, oh yeah, I regretted the fact that I didn't continue. But no one take the challenge. Imagine I stopped playing the violin at the age of 22. I mean, thank God Almighty, I never gave up because giving up is not part of my agenda. It's not my part of my DNA. My goal is whatever that I start, I have to complete. I have to finish it. So with the young people, it's a matter of choice. At some point, I would hope they wake up and smell the coffee. But as far as I'm concerned, it comes to a point where it has to be from them within, the same way it came from me within. That this is what I want. I want to challenge. I want to be able to serve humanity. I want to serve my country. I want to serve my family. I want to serve myself. That's the way I look at it.
So I just want to backtrack and say like how I became introduced to you
Hmm.
through a documentary that I found actually on Vimeo,
Vimeo,
but
that's
it's
correct.
you can also see it on the New Yorker's website, the New Yorker magazine's
Correct.
website,
Correct.
and the director is Lydia Cornett, and
She's amazing.
the documentary is called Eve and Variation.
Correct.
And the story goes that she met you on a train,
That's
correct?
correct. That's correct.
And you guys were having a conversation, and
That's
she realized how amazing you were or are based on all the things that you do. It is amazing. I was so touched by watching the documentary. She did such a great job. And I also met Bobby earlier this evening, who is a part of that production team. I'm not sure exactly what she does, but the documentary, everyone please go out and look at it, watch it. It's on the New Yorker magazine website. It's called Eve and Variation, and the director is Lydia Cornett. And when I watched this documentary, I was so impressed by your work ethic. I was so impressed by all of what you're doing and how much passion you have for doing it. I mean, it's amazing that you, just to recap for people who are just joining, I mean, you've been working as a New York City doorman for over 17 years.
Mhm.
You've been playing classical violin since you were 17. And as you stated, you had a late start, but you still continue to this day. You said you wake up every morning and you play the violin. And you challenged yourself to learn different languages. And there was actually a question of whether you also speak Italian. But so, I mean, you have all of these passionate things that you're doing, including giving back to the Haitian community. And I'd like to, say that you, and you can elaborate a little bit on this, but you, after the earthquake, you established a foundation to
That's
help
correct.
give back to the Haitian community
Mhm.
after the earthquake. And you have already established one school there.
Yes.
Can you tell
Yes.
me a little bit
Of
about that?
course. The thing is, right after the earthquake, it just like everybody wanted to serve, everybody wanted to help. And I met a young man by the name of Fackinson in Leogan, and he somehow kept telling me we need a school in our area, which is Bassit Cognier. And he kept saying, anything that you can offer us, we'll be happy to have. So instead of using the funds that I receive to support my family, to help my family during the crisis of that earthquake, I used the funds to support that little community. And everything started very timid, very small. And I was very fortunate. I met a strong philanthropist, and backed me up. And then we're able to create a school, create a community that is running perfectly, a beautiful school, primary school. And now I'm working on a second project, on a second school in a different area. But the first project, the reason why it took off is because I use art as a medium to sell in order to raise the funds. And based on the funds that I receive, I invested it in the community. This is technically how I start everything. And it turned out to become a major success. Instead of asking people to donate money, I offer them to if they could buy a piece of art. And a lot of people volunteer to buy art. And that's how I really took off. But from the very beginning, a lot of people were discouraging me, telling me that it's not possible, you cannot do it, it's not going to happen. But Fackinson kept asking me, and I kept pushing, and there were a lot of people coming out of the woodwork supporting the project, doctors, lawyers, at time I sit in a particular board, I would be technically the smallest person intellectually speaking. No, really, when you when you're sitting down like directors from the Hollywood major film, when you're sitting like a variety of fields, it's just like this sitting down and these people say, here we are helping you. We want that dream to come true. I mean, it's a wonderful thing. So this is how everything started, and I was very fortunate. The New York Times picked up on this matter based on a major art exhibit that I did at the building where I work, and then they published the article in February 2013. And from that article, technically, I got a lot of awareness from a lot of people, and it was very interesting. Again, I don't see myself like I am doing it. Behind me, there are a lot of invisible hands that
Mm.
makes it happen. A lot of hands. I mean, I wish I could give everyone credit, especially with the New York Times article. I wish I could name so many names just to let these people know that I'm not taking the credit to myself. It's not like I'm the Don Juan. But unfortunately, when they're writing articles, as you know, they centered on the one person. But people like Mariolene Ghetto, people like Abby Kanarek, people like Dr. Joshua Beer, Dr. Sweeter, I could just go and on for minutes and minutes, naming names, people that truly stood by me, especially my family, you know, my wife and my children, everybody were technically behind me to make this thing possible. It's not just one man effort. It was technically an empire that stood behind me to make this thing happen. And I'm so humbled by the experience, and I'm so happy to be able to help the helpless. Because when you go down to Haiti, which I always invite everyone to come and see for yourself. If anyone wants to go down to Haiti and experience what I'm experiencing, helping the community that I'm helping, I'll be happy to hop on an airplane any given time, any given day. We go and see for ourselves. I already know the reality, and therefore you can see it too. It's not a scam. It's not a scam. That's why, as I always tell everyone, I sell art as a medium to raise funds. I don't ever ask people for money because some
And you're
people have.
selling Haitian art, correct? You're
I sell
selling,
Haitian art, and I have
right.
technically, fortunately, the finest Haitian art you can ever imagine. From the dead masters, from the very first generation, to the
Wow.
most prolific young talent from the south of Haiti, Jacques Mel, Port-au-Prince, and part of the north of Haiti, Cap Haitian. So I have a huge contact of great artists, people who are willing to serve in this fashion, create art, make education accessible to children, see to it that they can find food to eat, school materials to use, and see to it that the teachers are getting paid. And
In
that
fact,
that
one of your pieces is behind you,
yeah,
correct?
this is pure
Mhm.
Clarison. Yeah, this is pure Clarison, one of my favorite artists. In the film, as you can see, I featured Jacques Philippe Jean Pierre. His little nickname is Bobol. I featured Owl Saint Jean, a great dead master from the naive period. Unfortunately, Owl Saint Jean is no longer with us. He passed away last year, on December 25th of last year. So I have the finest Haitian art you can ever imagine, and I'm talking original, not lithograph, not copies, not giclées. We're talking about originals.
Wow.
So that's what I do. I sell art to raise funds in order to make things happen for the children of Haiti.
Jamel says, Bonjour Yves, vous êtes
Bonjour.
magnifique.
Merci, merci beaucoup. Que c'est gentil.
She also says,
Merci.
formidable.
Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate that.
So what was so impressive to me, and I guess I'm going to backtrack to you were saying like you have a lot of people behind you.
Yes,
And I think I always tell my children, think of your life as if you are on a board, and you have your board members with you. And you're walking through life and you're not just alone, but you have these people that are helping you along the way, and you should
correct.
be able to tap into them. You have your mentors, you have someone who is great with finance, and someone who is great with marketing, and someone who's great with music, and someone who is great, and all of these people help you to be the best that you can be. And what I'm hearing from you is that you have your own personal board member situation. You've got David, who is helping you with your music. You've got these people who are helping you with art, and you've had people help you along the way, I'm sure, with your immigration. And it seems like without knowing this, you kind of also have this philosophy that I have of having a group of people that help you and help you lift you up. Would you agree with that?
I do. I definitely do. As I say, without these people, it would have been impossible. A person like Violin Ghetto, I would say literally sat me on her laps, to show me the way. And she explained to me
Who is
what
this?
is
Can you say her
Ma-
name again?
Marie Yolene Ghetto.
Who is this?
That's a lady from Leogan who pretty much taught me what philanthropy is all about, the responsibility of helping a community, how to network. And she even put me into contact with some of her friends. And among her friends, I met Elizabeth Calvin. I mean, these people, I see them like angels. You know, these are people normally you don't always find on earth. Because normally, when people have certain talent, they don't always share it. it's there. They just don't have time. But she made time for me. She made time for me in Haiti. She made time for me in New York. She made time for me in her apartment. She made time for me in her restaurant. And it's just like certain people, there is no way you can really say thank you for their services. People like Abby Kenerick, a marvelous Jewish lady. I used to call her the mother of the foundation because she was the one who would go out with me to meet certain philanthropists to write fat checks. People like Dr. Jimmy Kaufman, who did not hesitate to write checks. Certain people, they just unbelievable the way they go about as far as supporting what I do. Remember, I'm a concierge. Normally, people look at a concierge as just an average John Doe. I'm not saying I'm not average. I never said I'm not
No, you're not
average.
average. With all these things that you have going on, you are
No,
definitely not
no, but you
average.
see, in all humility, I like to keep myself in a position where I have to squeeze my head every morning. I just feel blessed. I just feel blessed. No, really, I really feel blessed. I remember one particular individual, which I will not name on the air. He said he went to Haiti with me, and we were in a small little house. He said, "Eve, how do you acquire all these things?" And I said to him, "What things?" He's a major director, film director. He said, "Philanthropy, art collecting, music." I
You
said,
do.
I said to him, I said, "I'm just a sponge. I take nothing but the very best around me. And that's what I do." And I think that's the best way I could answer this, man, because there are so many people who are involved in my life to make me who I am today. If I'm fluent in French, it's not overnight. If I came to New
Right.
York at the age of 17, where do I find French? I had mentors like Nicole Saint Jean. I had mentors like Ashley Etienne. I had people like Clarence Saint Hilaire. I had Marie Joseph. I had some great pastors, great mentors, great philosophers from my little community who happened to influence me beyond measured. So when I'm looking at these people, and I never said I want to be like them, I said I want to be better than them.
Yes.
So in other words, I fulfill in my own field what needed to be fulfilled. Like these people, they're not out there, on the field of Haiti running to support the very poor, but they give me enough tools to be able to do that for them. So therefore, I got something from them and I use it my own way to contribute to Haiti. So that's just the way it is. And I've learned way more than I expected from the people of Haiti. The music group of Bassit Cognier, Racine Don, there are a lot of things to learn about the culture and the people. While I'm serving, I was being served, and it's a wonderful thing. So it's really it's a humble experience to be able to go out there toward the poor to help them, and then for them to help you in return with things that you never expected, things you never imagined.
Jamel says they were unbelievable because you were unbelievable,
Thank
meaning
you,
your mentors.
thank you very much.
Yeah. I guess one of the things that struck me, and when I was telling your story to people before the podcast aired, one question I got was, why did you continue to be a doorman when you have all these other avenues that maybe you could have taken to be your main career, as opposed to being a concierge in a New York City building?
I love that question, and I'm gonna give you the answer, Yvess.
Okay, I want to hear it.
The beauty of what I do, and I'm gonna tell you the truth, nothing but the truth. The beauty of what I do, it's not the position. As a matter of fact, I see being a doorman in New York City as a network platform for me.
Hmm.
Yes, yes. To be able to have most of my clients, I don't sell art in the building. I do not. But to be able to manage to find most of my clients to sell art in the building is an art. To be able to meet people like Jamie Kaufman, who happened to be a medical doctor. Her and I pretty much have nothing in common except music. She knows classical music very well, and I happen to be a violinist. So we connect and partner in so many things. She happened to become a board member, and she happened to become a personal friend of mine. So it's not just what I do. No, far from the thought. And after working there for over 25 years, the freedom, the seniority, being able to cut out, for instance, from work, and let's say if I plan to go to Spain next year for about a year, they will allow me to go. I don't know how many jobs that would allow you to go for a year to Spain. I'm just giving you a plain scenario. I don't know too many jobs would be able where you could call your boss and say, you know what, I'm working on this project in Haiti. I want a month away. And they say, no problem. I don't know too many buildings in New York City would allow their doorman to film a film documentary about his life. So normally it's not what we do, Yifa, and I mean it. It's not what we do, it's how we do it. And the advantages are countless. I love what I do. I deal with people, I deal with old people, I deal with young people, I deal with pregnant women. I get down on my knees 9 out of 10 to lace somebody's shoes, a pregnant woman's shoes. I take pleasure in small things like this. But it's not what I do. It's not just the job itself. The job is just a job. But being able to hang out with certain people that I could only see on television, and these people able to invite me to their place and communicate with me and support what I do, to me, that's really priceless. I could have been in a cubicle. Yeah, I could have been in a cubicle. I could have been in an office where I have my own secretary. But working in an open floor where I deal with all walks of life, from the richest man that used to be in the building, Mr. Ted Cross, to the messenger from the street on the bike. I'm capable of relating to the messenger as well as able to relate to Mr. Cross, the richest man on earth. I can speak Mr. Cross language and I can speak the language of the messenger from the street. So it makes me feel in my skin. I am comfortable. I'm happy. And it's not about how much I make, it's what I do. I feel that I'm in the service of the public. I serve the public honorably. And in return, the public serve me because I learned a great deal from my job.
That's a really powerful lesson that
Hmm.
I think most people do not have not learned, and that is that you're not defined by what you do.
Far from the thought.
You define
Thank you.
the thing you do.
Thank you. Thank
And when you
you.
have pride in what you do and who you are and joy in what you do, it doesn't matter what you do.
I do. I enjoy what I do because I did not choose to become a doorman. And I'll be very sincere with you. Based on the education that we receive in Haiti, they want to see you, parents want to see you become a doctor, a lawyer, an
Yes.
agronomist, an engineer, an architect.
Yeah.
Doorman, where does that come from?
Right.
And where does that come from? So that's the reason why I'm forever indebted to Lydia to be able to have that hawk eye to see in me all that I possess and to be able to say, you know what, I think you have a very interesting life. I should create a film documentary about you. When she said that, I thought she was kidding. At first she was playing hide and seek, I spy with my daughter, and the next minute, we're exchanging email, and before we know it, by October, November, we were filming. So, as I say to you again, I redefine what a doorman can be.
Mhm.
And the most impressive things is every morning when somebody walk into the building, watching me performing on the violin, it's breathtaking. That doesn't make me feel that I'm superior in any way. But if I should repeat what Dr. Sonoda
Hold on. We can't hear you. 1 second. We want to hear the quote. Okay, now go ahead.
Dr. Sonoda Park once said to me after watching me play the violin for the first time, she said, I always knew there is something special about you.
Oh,
There is something
yeah.
extraordinary about you. You know, it's that stays with me, and that was way before the film that Lydia made. That was at least I would say maybe 8 years prior to the film. Another gentleman wanted to make a film documentary about me, but unfortunately the time was not possible, so it didn't happen. But when Lydia knocked on my door, I was very happy to follow all her instructions. You know, it's like a dream come true, and my story is real.
I just want to remind people, if you have any questions for Yves, please type them in the chat and I will ask him for you. Yves, what is one thing that you could say to people to give them encouragement to find their inner drive?
Normally, anything that you picked on, your very close friend, your best friend will tell you it's not gonna work.
Mm.
Just follow your heart, follow your dream, and be persistent, be resilient. Because normally, anything that you choose to do, it's not gonna be easy. If you choose something, it's because it's not easy. You want to do something out of the ordinary. And normally people are going to tell you, oh, you're wasting your time. It has been done before. No, you might have a different approach to it. I'm not the first person who built up a school in Haiti. I'm not the first. But the way I go about, as for asking a group of professionals in my building, doctors, lawyers, teachers, to help me gather this package to make it happen, it's unique. New York Times quote me a philanthropist. I laughed the first time I read my own article. You know, normally you would see people like Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, you know, Rockefeller, you know, Bill Clinton. Technically, these are the type of people that you expect to hear the term philanthropy, you know, after their last name. But a doorman has made himself a philanthropist. I think it's really beautiful the way they quote it. It's beautiful. You don't have to have much. Every little that you have, because when I first started, that was the first challenge. People told me, "You're just wasting your time. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna work." And I just keep on pushing and pushing and pushing until I made it happen. But again, it was not made by me. It was made by a team of invisible people who truly care about my passion, my dream. And normally, anything that you choose to do, down the line, you will find angels from left to right that's going to support you to make it happen. But you have to have the drive and the passion in order to make it happen.
Is there a way for people to fabricate drive and passion if they don't feel that they have it?
If you don't have it, it's unfortunately it's just like a car with no gas. You have to have it. No, really, you have to. First lesson, first lesson, 19 January 22nd, 1990. The violin is next to my neck. David said to me, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yes." I feel I'm gonna pass out. I feel that I'm gonna pass out. He said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yes, I'm okay." I just didn't want to stop. I feel I'm gonna pass out because I couldn't breathe. First lesson. So imagine now, April 6, 2021, I'm playing and I would call David and I would play passages for him. I would tease him. We're laughing, we giggle. It's an amazing thing. It's all about persistence. It's all about resilience. If you don't have it, it's not going to happen. But if you do have it, you'll find help down the line. People will come out of nowhere. Anonymous donors, anonymous sponsors, anonymous teachers, you name it, they're just going to be there for you when you least expect it, because that's what happened.
Maybe the drive and the passion comes from finding something that you really enjoy, finding something that you really want to do. And maybe part of it is the fear that people have. I think you're fearless. Somebody pointed out that you have this desire. You're almost like not afraid. One of the questions I think earlier was about that. And I think oftentimes people are afraid to step out of their norm, because they think, well, if I do this, then this might happen, then this might happen. And they're scared of what that looks like. And maybe if you find the thing that you really love and you forget about, in a sense, almost like the danger of doing it, and you just go forward, you just jump in, almost skydiving, in a sense. It's like almost what you did. You just said, I'm not going to listen to these people telling me this isn't going to work. I have a passion to help my community. I have a passion to play music. You said you almost were going to pass out from, wanting to do it so bad because you loved it. You have a passion for communicating with people, so you learn languages. And people maybe need to connect with their passion and not be afraid to find that.
Yvess, let me share this with you. It's just like a child. When they first start learning how to walk, they get up, they fall. People are afraid to fail. Do you know how many trips I took to Haiti to buy land to create that school, and then nothing happened, and I had to come back to New York empty-handed? You know what? I burned the airline tickets, I burned my pocket money, and there is no positive that comes out of it. A trip. Countless trips happen like this. Went down there on a hunch, a promise, and guess what? Nothing happened. But guess what? I never give up. I never give up. The thing is, people are afraid to be rejected. I'm not afraid for someone to say no to me if I offer you a piece of painting. If you say no to me, it's okay. If you say yes to me, I'm very happy. I work 6 days a week, and I've been doing this over a decade. In other words, I'm willing to make the money to support my family, to support my friends. Yes, my friends in Haiti. So I don't have to ask anyone else for money. People are afraid to fail, afraid not to succeed. If you don't jump into the water, how can you possibly swim to get out of the water?
This is true. This is a good one.
No, it's a fact. I've seen many failures on my part. Going to Haiti, coming back to New York, and the plan did not happen. And telling my superior, oh, by the way, the land that we went for, it didn't happen. People promised me to give me free land for a school. I called my superior. I said, oh, by the way, they're gonna give us the land for free. And weeks later, they say, unfortunately, we have to sell. Now I have to go back on my words, telling my superior, oh, by the way, they don't want to give the land for free. They're selling the land.
Oh.
There's so much to go through. Success comes with a price. You have to keep trying harder and harder to make it happen. I could be depressed for a minute. I cannot be depressed for a day. I cannot afford to be depressed for a day. No.
I'm going to tell you a story that happened
Please
to me.
do.
This is similar to your going to Haiti and with your tickets and not getting your land. In the past week, my computer died. I think I texted you and told you.
I read that, and I saw that.
Oh my gosh, my computer died. Then yesterday, my telephone died. This afternoon, I was trying to make sure that I could get on to do the streaming, and the microphone wasn't working. I couldn't hear anything. My friend that I was practicing with, she couldn't hear me. It was a mess, a hot mess. But I just kept on. I'm like, if I have to do it without a phone, if I have to do it without a computer, if I have to knock on someone's door and say, can I borrow your computer tonight? It's just, you have to keep doing it. And failing up is now the term that people say, failing up, because it's not failure. You're learning from your mistakes and you're getting better with each moment that you learn something, you're getting better and you're getting to your goal.
Mm-hmm. That's just the way it is. But the thing is, people that discourage me the most, when the first article came out in the New York Times, they were the first to congratulate me. And then, I squeeze my head and I thank God Almighty. But I realized, okay, then that's the price of success. You really have to push for it. Yeah, they say, hey, he's not going to make it. people sometimes they look at you. I mean, be honest. This guy is a doorman. He doesn't have enough connection. He doesn't have the power. He doesn't know the
Right.
right people in the right place. But
Yeah.
guess what? It happened. The New Yorker called me on August, early August. I was in Haiti, and August the 12th, 2020, the article came out. The film came out in their website for the interview. Oh, congratulations. Yeah, but I've been with you every day. This is what I've been doing for the past decade. And
Right.
now you realize, so the word people wants to see you up there in order to realize you must be really doing something really, really important. No,
Yeah.
no, not at all. I mean, I am who I am not because of the New York Times, nor the New Yorker. I feel fortunate I was acknowledged by these two major press company to find out that, hey, he's someone who's really doing the very best that he can to support his community. But I did not even expect to be in a small magazine called Metro in New York. There's another one called AM newspaper. I didn't expect to be in those little magazines. Why? Because that was not the goal. The goal was not to look for the press. Is to do what needs to be done. And I take great pleasure. Imagine now one of the kids in Bassett-Cournier at the age of 16 still calling me father.
Oh, wow.
I think it's
That's
very
awesome.
rewarding. Yeah, very
Yeah.
rewarding. Very rewarding. So these are the things I think that people should do. If you have a dream, follow your dream. If you really want to make something, it doesn't matter what walk of life that you are, you can make it. You can do it. But you have to start within. It has to be within.
So we are nearing the end right now of the
Hmm.
podcast. I have a couple of things that I want to say. One is someone had asked if I could repeat where the documentary is. I think it was Jamel asked to repeat where the documentary is. You can watch that on the New Yorker website, the New Yorker magazine website, and it's called Yves and Variation. You can even just type that in
Hmm.
Google and it comes right up. It's a
That's correct.
really amazing documentary. Please watch that. Charlene says, one no is a million of yeses. I
That's
think
correct.
that is a really great way to end things. I just have one more question. It says, in your personal life, what would you like to do and accomplish that you have not done? Be it travel, skydive, go see the pyramids, etc. Just one thing.
I want to go see the pyramid because I'm always fascinated by the Egyptian um, theory in all aspects, the mythology and the great science that stands behind the construction of the pyramid. I think that would be an amazing thing for me to accomplish. I plan to travel to Israel, but Egypt is definitely a place definitely that I would love to visit, especially the pyramid.
Well, I hope that you get to do that, Yves. This has been so wonderful to get to know you more. Like I said, that watching the documentary was so fulfilling for me, and to see all of the things that you've accomplished. And I'm so grateful that you decided that you could join me in my podcast, in my second episode. You really blessed me with this. Reach out to Yves. What is your social media handle that people can contact you on?
If there's I'm on Facebook, I'm on how do you call it, Instagram.
Instagram?
Yes, I'm out there. I'm so happy to be a public figure. But I thank you very much for having me in your second show. It's a tremendous honor to share my life story and support it any way that you can. I'm there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel for further episode notifications. You can reach me on social media at yeefah.com. That's YEEFAHDOTCOM. And have a good night, everyone. See you on the
Thank
next
you.
episode 2 weeks from now. Good
Thank
night. Good
you. Good
night.
night.